Good afternoon, Costa Talk Shows family. It's Nomsa here, and today we are talking about a journey is the destination, how to know if you are on the right path. So are you feeling lost and insecure about the direction of your life? Join us today as we explore the journey is the destination and discover how to know if you are on the right path. Over to you, Dr. Bigot. What do you think about the topic?
Thank you, Numsa. It's a very interesting topic. A lot of time when we think about our destinations, most people say, oh, I have this goal or that goal or something, and that's become the destinations where you want to go. And so for some people, it is even, I must do this thing in life, and that's the destination. And while when we say the journey is the destinations, it's one of those where to get anywhere in life, in a place that you feel expansive, in a place that you feel that you can grow, then it takes a journey. It's almost like if you're going on a road trip. If you're going on a road trip here in the US, at least, there are places and many times people like to go on road trip. And yes, you might want to go to let's say you want to go to New York, a more popular example from Los Angeles. You can just keep in your mind, I want to go to New York and want to go to New York, and then make the whole thing become a pain. Or you can actually go to New York, but you're going through the whole experience to get from Los Angeles to New York. And then how do you get to go to New York and make that part on, yes, you get from here to there, even if it's just going to the store, become an experience in itself, and then see what it is that you're able to gain from there. I work with people who are grieving. I'm a grief specialist, and a lot of time people went through things. And usually when we went through things, it's because it's a loss in one way or another. It might be a typical tangible loss. Sometimes it's something else's, what we call the intangible losses. Then that's something that for people, it's almost like something being robbed from them. But on the other hand, if you actually see that your journey in life, your way to move in life is a destination, or actually part of the whole process, then people are able to gain from it, even after horrendous loss, able to be able to get to learn from the loss, gain lesson, and then actually transform the loss to legacy, which is something that I teach very much. And so if you see things differently, that part of life is going through things. You always go through things anyway. Whether you go from your home to the store or from Los Angeles to New York, which is across country, you're always going to things. So what if you created your journey as your destinations? And how do you create? What can you do to create it to be in? For me personally, I love it to be fun and fulfilling and empowering. What about anybody else in here? How do you create your journey to be your destination?
Well, I think everything is about our journey, because really sometimes, like, I remember when I was younger and I'd like get ready with my friends to like go out to a party or something, and like my favorite memories of that is actually not being at the party. It's the part where you're like excited about it and having fun with your friends and getting ready and being silly. And then I look back and I was like, that's actually the best part of my night, was just the pre-part, not the actual destination that we were going to. It was the like silly, like trying on all these different outfits and like doing each other's hair and those sort of things that were just like that's what I remember being the best part of those types of events. And I look at, even through life, what is it that we're really truly striving for, and all we really truly have is this moment. And when we look at it as all I really truly have is this moment in time, what is it that I can do with this moment to empower my life? And if I'm struggling with something, and for me, this kind of hits really powerfully because I've had like quite a big setback in my journey this last week. And it was because different traumas from my divorce popped up in a different situation. And it was mind-blowing to me that I allowed someone to like lie to me right to my face for like 2 years, and I didn't see it. And I was like, how did I not already learn this and get past this? And so I was like, I just took it as like, this is part of my journey. Obviously, there's parts that still are not healed. Obviously, there's parts that I still need to learn and grow from. And then I look at it as, how can I help other people through this? Because what I've been through has been quite traumatic. And yet I know there's other people who've been through similar traumas or even worse traumas. And then take it as, how can I allow that not to make me into a puddle, and take that pain and that struggle and turn it into empowerment. And when we look at our journey and all the struggles along our journey, is what is it that we can use to empower our lives as we continue on our journey? And I think those struggles and those setbacks are things that we can choose to either empower us and set us on a more positive path, or we can choose to allow them to crush us and keep us stuck. And so when I look at the journey versus the destination, I think really the true value is the power of now. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, that was really well put. I that's always the struggle, right? Is to stay in the now and in the present, and not get caught up in what either you regret doing years gone by or yesterday, and also then looking too far forward into the future and living not in the moment at all, and just thinking about what you're going to do in the future, and then all this time passes by and you're not there for it, which just seems like such a tragedy. So yeah, that for sure is the work, is to remember that the journey that we're all on is the destination. Yeah, it's a real thing. It's a real struggle. And then the lessons that you kind of touched on, for me, that's something that I'm really trying to live and embody right now too, is that whenever we do have a setback in life, is to try and look at it from a perspective of, okay, what haven't I learned, or what lesson haven't I fully embodied yet, and what can I learn and improve from based on this tragedy or setback or whatever it is. And for me, it was an example was actually yesterday. For me, I was at home and had one of my older kids was sick, and then the younger one was at home with me as well, and it was just a really bad day, just with sick kids and them fighting and just various things that happened throughout the day. And I was just triggered like crazy, and I was not my best at all. And even in that moment, I knew that I wasn't acting how I know I should or can act, and I know better. But like I said, even in that moment, still had this awareness of, okay, I'm triggered. I am not feeling good at all. But what is it that I need to learn, or what's being shown to me through my kids? Like, what are they mirroring back to me? And then trying to turn that. And yesterday, normally when I have those situations, I am able to flip it. Yesterday, I really struggled with that, and had kind of a bad stretched out the whole day. But closer to the end, we were in the car, and I just said, like, boys, I'm sorry. Like, I was not my best today. I was, just wasn't how I know I can be. And instantly in that moment, my middle guy, who's 7, was like, I'm sorry too, Daddy. I wasn't being very good today. Like, without me having to say anything. And then my 4-year-old is like, yeah, I'm sorry too, Daddy. Yeah. And so it was like, oh, okay. So in that moment, like, me just being honest about how my day went and my shortcomings, and that, being honest to them about that. And it was like immediately just the energy really shifted in that moment. And then from there, we were able to kind of turn it around and have a bit of a better afternoon. And then just to kind of get back to the main topic here of the journey being the destination and how to know when you're on the right path. For me, it's a lot of these uncomfortable moments, where that's how I know that I am on my right path, is when I am growing, when I'm realizing situations like yesterday where I'm not being my best, even though in the moment it feels terrible, but to have that realization that, okay, what was that lesson, and then correcting it and moving forward. And then kind of bigger picture is to know how to know when you're on the right path. And again, for me, it's a feeling, and it's something that it just feels good and right, even if it doesn't make sense, and even if it scares you. Being scared is a big part of it, and that's because there's no growth in the comfort zone. And in order to get to that place that you think you want to be, you got to push through that fear in order to grow. And so it's a combination of how it makes you feel, and also just having that balance of knowing what you want to make happen in your life and in your world, and having that as kind of a bit of a guidepost, but not getting too caught up in it and forgetting about the present moment and showing up in the day-to-day. So that's kind of where I'm at. How about you, Nomsa?
I actually agree with you, Nick, when you say you've had the challenges with the kids and stuff in the day. And those are part of this setbacks, unfortunately, when it comes to children. And we were talking earlier about the kids before we come on, that how old they are and stuff. For me, I've gone through the journey. My older one, she's 16. So I can tell you that the path is not as simple as it looks, but it's worth it in the end. So going to the topic, I think knowing that you are in the right path is sometimes it can be a very, very challenging task. And but there are steps that you can take in order for you to actually get to where you want to go. You can start by identifying your values. And if you see yourself going off your path, then you can bring yourself back. And once you understand your values and what is important to you in your life, it will help you to make the decisions that will align with your beliefs and your principles. Some people have principles in place that they put that if I'm saying this is where I'm going and this is who I am, so these are my principles. This is like Jesus himself. He has his commandment that if you want to follow me, you want to follow my path, these are my commandment. He doesn't force anyone. So he says, this is who I am. This is who you should be in order for you to actually follow my path. But was he a perfect man? No, he wasn't. His family wasn't perfect either. So we have to understand that we shouldn't be too hard on ourselves. Like parents that have kids, if things don't go how we want it and things go south, we just have to bring ourselves back, like Nick brought himself back. And he was like his children and brought his children together emotional wise, and in the end they ended up having a beautiful day. And I think that is important, and also assessing your skills and your interest as well is very, very, very important, and also considering your natural abilities and your passion. What are you passionate about? Some people think that they have to go and ask someone about their purpose, about their passion, but everything is within. You just have to work with a coach to trigger those things, and without being hard on yourself, and setting goals and having clear understanding of what you want in life, what you want to achieve. And in that short of time, or maybe write goals, 5-year goals, 3-year goals, and then it just take step by step, not like being too hard on yourself. If you take step by step, like even in your career, you don't just get promoted and go to the top. You go step by step the ladder. You go up, and then you improve yourself and you prove your skills, and then you get promoted again, and then you end up being on top. So that's what life is about, is knowing where you want to go, even if things don't go your way, and just bringing yourself back and understanding that life is a journey, and you're finding yourself, and the destination is the end of destination. Is like right now we're at Ngozi Talk Shows. I don't think there's the end of the destination. I think the journey is the one that we need to enjoy it. The destination is actually in our mind, is our vision. But if we get there, there was still going to be some improvement that we still need to want more. So I think that's where we just need to enjoy life and prioritizing our goals as well, and making decisions to support our goals. That's what I believe. Dr. Bigot? Is Dr. Bigot there? Hi guys, what's going on? Why are you all quiet? Dr. Bigot, can you hear me?
I was waiting for Dr. Bigot to talk, but I guess hers isn't quite working. I was going to actually piggyback on what Nick had said about having that honest conversation with your kids when you are struggling, because that was like a very similar conversation that I had with my daughter this weekend. I was like, these events happened and I'm struggling. Like I'm like, it's bringing back these past traumas, and I'm not doing very well. And so I was able to be like, there are times in life when you recognize that you're not doing very well, and like, be patient with yourself, because know that you can take tools and you can get your tools, but also like sometimes you just have to spend a little bit of time sitting in that struggle to get yourself out of it as well. And I can already feel that is lifting for me, and it's taken a few days, but I couldn't get myself out of it in the first like couple days that the things that were bothering me happened. And so, but now I can feel all of that energy lifting, and that I'm starting to feel better and back to my old self again. But it takes time. But it's also, I think, like a teaching opportunity for children, because children need to know that they don't always have to be happy all the time, and that it's okay to have a variety of emotions, and it's okay for there to be setbacks on their journey as well. And if they don't see us doing that as adults, then they're going to feel like failures going through life. And I think that really being honest with children about your journeys and your struggles and your ups and your downs is something that's really important and part of your journey as well. Even in the classroom yesterday, I had been having some students send really mean like notes in class to each other. And it was really upsetting me, because I was like, you guys are sending mean notes about your own friends. Like, can you imagine how they would feel if they saw what you wrote, like, this is not okay. And so I sat my entire class down in a circle and we talked for almost an hour. I threw out everything that I had planned for the afternoon. And we had one of the most serious conversations I've had to have with a group of children in like 4 years. But the end result was like very, very good, because the kids were able to be like, this is what I'm struggling with, and you guys probably don't know. And so like like a student who is a little bit bigger was like, it really bothers me when kids call me fat. And I was like, I can empathize with that, because when I was a kid, I had the opposite. People would call me anorexic. And so I was like, I was made fun of for the opposite reason of that. And so I can empathize from the opposite side, but that the hurt is still there. And so we also talked about how sometimes you can say something, but the intention isn't mean, but because of what the other person's going through, they take it in a way that really affects them. So you always have to be a little bit conscious of what it is that you're saying to people, because you never know how it's going to affect them for the rest of their life. And so the amount of honesty and empathy that my class had for each other yesterday, after sitting down and having a real conversation with them about some of the things that were going on in the classroom, those children had more empathy skills than many adults, especially the adults that I had been dealing with the past week. And I just was like, wow, like, this is where it starts. This is where we teach skills, coping skills, and we teach kindness skills, and we teach empathy skills, and we teach resiliency skills. And if we don't teach those at a very young age, then we end up with narcissists and sociopaths and different types of people that can really like completely shock your life and your mind and blow your mind, because you're like, how can people lie straight to your face or something like that? And that those things, I think, are part of the journey, but also we need to teach children at a very young age resiliency skills and empathy skills and coping skills, so that they can choose paths on their journey and get out of their struggles quicker. And so I think everything in life is a learning opportunity. And what Nick was going through the other day with his kids, what my classroom was going through, what my personal struggle was going through, it's all an opportunity for learning on this journey of life. Dr. Bigot, maybe yours will work now. You can add it in.
Yeah, Amanda. Yeah, I would say when we see things differently, it's always about how we are seeing things. We could be seeing things in that, oh, we have like one fixed goal, and we got to get it in one way or the other, and kind of like everybody else move out of the way, I got to get to my goal. By all means, it's very important to get to your goal. To be able to accomplish your goal is usually the word that I use instead of to get to it. And there's a difference even just in the word, that when you're using the word, right, between you said you accomplish, how do you accomplish things? It's you, instead of you get, it's like getting it. And when you do that versus, okay, this whole process on being able to have in your hand whatever it is that you would love, and to be able to, if you go on a road trip, for instance, or something, sometimes you discover whether it's children that's not behaving the way you want them to be at that moment, or a traffic here if you live in Los Angeles. and you said, oh, you know what, the other day it happened with me. You say, you like, okay, I kind of, GPS says it's this amount of time. I know Los Angeles, I prepared this amount of time. And you're still sitting there in the traffic and you say, oh, great, my plane leaves in an hour. I'm still on the road. They're flying through LAX. where usually it takes an hour to get through. And, and you're like, okay, hello. So and if the journey is the goal, then you will less likely to become panic, upset, angry, which is many people in here do that. Versus if it is, I must do that, and of course everybody want to be able to get to their plane, and and thankfully for me in general, I have trained myself so much that okay, well the plane, and I have been detoured by GPS about 5 times by then. It's like, what can I be grateful for at this moment? Well, I'm grateful that I have a full tank of gas and all this other thing. And then in the strangest manner, we discover this, that as you are able to be able, and you also, when you are, as I think it's Amanda says, the first one, being able to be there and be present, then you say, okay, then if you just think back to a time, if you're listening to this, think back to a time when you're driving, for instance, and then you're upset about something. It might be the traffic, it might be something else. Yes, sometimes it's you looking for things to get out from the situation, like cutting other cars or something. But if you cannot do that, the more upset you are, the more you cannot see anything else, like Nick says earlier. If you ever experience this, if you're listening to this, if you kind of like so upset and you like can't hear anything, can't see anything, but it's actually delay, and it make you cannot think well and cannot think about some other perhaps opportunity that will allow you to accomplish what it is that you need. And also the other part, a lot of time, is when we see the journey as our goal, you learn to realize that everything that's happening is either for you, or even if you cannot see it that yet, then you can say everything that's happening is happening at least with you instead of to you. Let me tell you here, if you're watching this, can you tell the difference between things happening for you? Now, for some of us, I work with people who are grieving. Being a grief specialist, that might be a hard pill to swallow at this moment if you've been having things in life going on. But even if you cannot see it as thing happening for you, you can see that if the journey is your goal, you're part of the journey. If things are happening with you, not in a way that blaming you, but in a way that I can co-create this. I can feel angry, or I can feel horrible and sad and heartbroken, but what can I do to be like Nick, the beautiful example? I love that. What can I do so my relationship with my boys stay great, and the rest of our day, not just the long-term relationship, but the rest of our day become better? What can I do at the moment? And then, it sounds like you were trying certain thing, and if you're watching this, chime in on the chat. If you catch him saying that I was trying this and I was trying that, but it didn't work out at the beginning. But you keep trying. You didn't say, I wanted this to be better, and then it doesn't, and then you just, blow it off completely, right? You keep trying, and then you kind of work it in such a way. So if you are going through things and you've tried something, you might even find, this talk here doesn't quite make sense. Then keep trying and perhaps reach out. I mean, Nick was in his family, he reached in, but you can reach in or reach out and then still continue doing that. So I would say it's very important to see the journey of as your destination or part of your life, because it's allow you to, just like I love your example, Nick, to co-create your experience in here. So I would invite anybody listening here to share in the chat if you ever have experience, or like we said, keep trying. Perhaps you would love some feedback. What about you, Nick? Is there any other experience you care to share?
Yeah. So Yeah, I was just thinking as you were talking about how when we're in those moments of sitting in that traffic jam, we just get, historically, I would just get so wrapped up in that and just be like, oh, the universe is like screwing me, and like just get in this like real negative, like, yeah, everything is going poorly. And then it's all consuming. And then it's almost like then that's what you get back, right? It's like then it's like then the next thing, and you're like, oh, of course, like this other bad thing happened. Whereas now, kind of with the benefit of some a little bit of inner work, is now to take that step back, like yourself, and I love that how you were, yeah, grateful for the things that are going right. And then for me personally, in a situation like that, I'll really try and step back and be like, okay, so what is not only the positives that can come out of this, but like what maybe are the negatives that I'm now avoiding because of this delay? Like, who knows what could have happened, right? With that flight, or with maybe a person beside you who was sick that then made you sick, who then made it so you couldn't do this engagement in 2 weeks from now, that like would have changed your whole life. And so like, just to have a little bit of perspective in those moments and realize like, okay, maybe this delay is happening for me, right? Or this terrible thing is happening not to me, but for me. And I can't even imagine or even begin to guess how my life is going to change because of this delay or this relationship breaking down, or whatever the situation is. And just kind of almost having that zoomed out perspective on life, and just letting life happen too, is like having that moment of, just anger and being so frustrated with the delay. And like I can, as even as you're describing, I can just like feel how that would feel in my body being in a similar situation. And it just, yeah, it doesn't feel good at all. But it's like getting all wrapped up in that, and really like letting it just fester and really grow, is to just let life happen how it's supposed to. And how much better that is, because at the end of the day, you sitting in your car swearing at people and flipping people off and trying to like cut through and cut people off, is like, how much good is that going to do you? Like anyone listening right now, like, can you think of an example in your own life where that was your situation, and like getting wrapped up in that, like how much good did it actually do you at the end of the day? And the answer is not much, right? You're only really punishing yourself in those moments, because there's nothing you can do. So just to let everything unfold how it's supposed to. And I mean, obviously you have to take steps in the real world and do things. You can't just sit back and wait for everything to happen for you, basically. And it's funny to flip that right around. But yeah, that for me is a huge thing that I'm currently going through in my life and growing my business, is doing the things I know I need to do to get me to, get me on my path where I want to be. But then making those moves, but then at the same time just allowing. So an example for me is back a couple of months ago, I had the opportunity to go on a trip to Mexico, and it was a business mastermind retreat, basically. And so I knew about this thing for months, and I knew I wanted to do it, but it just like, it was expensive and the time wasn't right. I felt guilt about leaving my kids and my wife back at home and like all these things. Anyways, so eventually the signs that I was getting that I needed to do that were just like, okay, I can't ignore this anymore. Like, it was wild. Some of the things that were happening to me that were telling me, okay, this is something you need to do. So I just said, okay, this doesn't make sense, but I'm just going to do it. So I made it happen, and I had, an amazing experience. I met so many great people, business wise. I met like this amazing group of people that came together in the retreat and they're now my marketing team. And it was like, now looking back with a little bit of perspective, it's like, oh, that for sure was exactly where I needed to be. And to the getting out of your own way and just allowing those situations is like, it's not easy at all. And like, I'm sure anyone listening can relate to those times in their lives where it's like, you know what you need to do, but to actually get out of your way and like just allow is for sure not an easy thing to do. And it's again that getting out of your comfort zone to where the growth happens, and that's certainly not in your.
Oh, you're back. You were frozen. Keep going.
Oh, sorry. Is to, I'm not sure how long I was frozen for, but is to get back to,
you know, the last bit, first bit, like after the retreat, then you went frozen.
He wasn't frozen. I could hear it the whole time.
Oh, really?
Okay. So I completely lost where I was going, but yeah, I think what I was getting at is just getting out of your own way and just allowing life to happen for you, and then to not hold on so tight in those moments of, you know, the little things like getting stuck in traffic, or the big things of like a big decision that you're struggling with, or like a move you're trying to make or going to make, and it's causing you some, you know, you're questioning it, but you know you need to do it. Is in those moments you just got to let go and just let life happen for you. I think that's it for now. How about you, Namsa?
Let life happen for you. Life is happening for me, not to me. Why me? Why do I have to go through this? There's the question that people always ask themselves, instead of saying that life is happening for them. So if anyone is watching, I can see there are people on LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. Please, you can ask questions and get involved with our conversation. If you relate to whatever one of our coaches are saying, just feel free to type and get involved. And this is a really beautiful topic, because it helps us to actually understand what it means to actually go in the right path. Everyone has a different journey that they go through in life. I relate with Nick, like when he's saying going to the retreat and leaving his family behind. And unfortunately, those are the price that we have to pay to find that success. It's not easy. Finding a sense of fulfillment in life is not really an easy journey. But when you find that sense of fulfillment and connect with the right person, like he went for his mastermind event, when he came back, he had made friends and he had made the right connection, and it was completely, it was the same, but you could see the joy with Nick that he found his way where he needed to go. He felt like he's in the right path. And I think that is really, really good. And you could see that when somebody makes the right choice in life, you could feel that satisfaction. And going to the right path, it comes with you have to have a clarity. And having clarity, it means having an understanding of your goals and what you want to achieve in life. Because going to that path, if you don't know where you are going and why you're taking that path, there's gonna be confusion when you get stuck. It will be hard to get unstuck. But if you have your big why, when you listen to Dr. Bigot, when you listen to Amanda, listen to Nick, Amanda, she has this vision, what she wants to see happening to the children that she teaches. And she has a vision for them. She's there to help them. She's there to actually help them succeed and find their path and in the right way. Like she was saying, that children has to be taught from a very young age. So she's there as a parent. When parents drop her, for me, if I was listening to her, if I knew that she was the teacher of my children, I wouldn't be really worried. I won't worry about my children being in school because I know they're in good hands. But unfortunately, not every teacher is like that. So, and also, it helps you, these signs of knowing that you are in the right path is having a positive outlook. When you have a positive outlook and optimistic outlook in your life, it actually, even when you come through, when you are faced with challenges, it will actually help you to build a good relationship with people. And if you have that strong supportive network, like Nick, he started his own business, but when you see him every time, it looks like he is making an effort to have a strong network. He's making an effort to meet people, and those people, they align with the journey where he needs to go. When you have people that align with the journey where you want to be, that means the support will be really, really good. And the family members as well, and friends. If you have good friends that can support you, but not everyone can get all that. But that means you have to know that that destination, that journey is yours, and you can get there as long as you are willing to actually get to where you need to go. And also, when your path is aligned with whatever you want to do, you have a financial stability as well. We help you to deal with your finances, because if you are somebody who doesn't know where they are going, who doesn't know what they want to do, that means you will have problems in getting to your destination. Those are the good signs that if you have financial stability, if you have personal growth, if your personal growth is in the right place, that means you're constantly learning and you're constantly growing and you're developing new skills. Even with our children, when we're having challenges, we see it as challenges, but at the end of the day, we are developing skills with those kids by learning more about our children, learning more about ourselves, and also a healthy lifestyle. When you have a healthy lifestyle, that means you're on the right path. Like Dr. Biggett was saying, she is a grieving coach. So we grieve all the time. And if you are somebody who is grieving and your path is not in the right place, that's where you need her to come in and help you so that you can live a healthy lifestyle. Some people will be like, what is grieving got to do with my lifestyle? Unfortunately, we grieve each and every single day. When children go that way, we get disappointed because we have this picture that our children should be they should be like this. But when we don't, our expectations are not met, then it is a disappointment. And if business is not doing well, or the job, you don't get that promotion, you're grieving. So it is important for us to actually know that we can work on our lifestyle and have that healthy lifestyle and a strong sense of self as well, having an understanding of self-awareness and confidence as well. It does help to understand that, okay, my confidence is good, I'm aware of who I am, so I am in the right path. In the sense of community, when you have you feel you're connected to your community, then you are in the right path. Those who feel connected to their community because they want to fit in, that's not the right path. The right path, it means you're going to take me as I am. I don't have to be this in order for you to accept me, but I'm here in my community and I'm going to help my community and I'm going to add value to my community and connect with the right people. So that's it for now. Over to you, Dr. Biggett.
I love that what you said, you need to have clarity and so forth. I would add one thing to that is to have flexibility. You know, sometimes we have an idea, not only what we want, but how we want it to happen. And that's actually where a lot of time the stress happens. And you never know what's in the universe that's have in store for you. As Nick was saying earlier, with my experience, I was in this and it's like, okay, I'm meant to take this flight and what have you, but it's the traffic's not moving anywhere, and you can learn to see what's the good, to see what you can change the situations right where you are. And with me, I tap into gratitude and into yes, positive thinking as well, as Numsa says, realizing that everything happened with me or for me. And with that, it's take my energy level to a different level. And in one way or another, I made it to the airport, and I was in such an elevated energy level. I basically walked straight through LAX with no stopping. And it was like, wow, really? And to the point that at the final security, if you've been through LAX, it's multiple stops. And the final security, it was like, and I had to park my car. I parked my car. I still got to get to the shuttle and what have you. And the shuttle bus, and of course, there is a part of you, like sometimes life do this favor actually to you, for you. And it was like, usually the bus driver just try to get through things and drop off everybody as fast. And this one was leisurely. While I was like watching the clock ticking, he was like, at some stop, he's like, oh, he's pointing this thing out and that pointing. And there was a part of me that just wanted to say, oh my God, just can you flipping get going? Have you ever had that experience, whether it's with a bus, a shuttle driver or something, and you just get... and the other part of me said, no, he's being very friendly. He's showing all these things that I have been through LAX, I don't know, 100 times probably, never seen this. And it was, he was speaking and everything. And then and of course, has it happened, I was the last stop of the whole trip around LAX. I was the last stop. And he was more busy speaking and chatting toward the end. And I said, you know what? I'm grateful. I'm grateful for whatever this test bring to me. And I just participate in as best as I could. And as we approached my terminal, he said, all right, boss. And all these things that actually up level my energy even more. I walked through the airport, the security toward the final security side. As I walked toward them, one of the gentlemen looked up and said, all right, here we go. You walking in like you own the way that you own this place, that you own this place in your life. And, you know, in a very interesting way, the flight that I'm taking was to go to a meeting that initially was intimidating to me. Now, if you ever went, chime in the chat. Have you ever went to anything feeling intimidated? What's the outcome going to be if you do that? Probably usually not your ideal. On the other hand, if you go into the meeting feeling most uplifted, and by then that you own the place and that you own your life, well, guess what? That's just exactly what I needed to be flying into. It was like an hour flight to fly into, and then to be able to be in that meeting in such an elevated state. And at the end of the day, life was helping me to accomplish that state in a way that's very interesting and twisted way. But but the universe worked for us. So to have flexibility. But what about you, Amanda or Nick? Have you ever have an experience where it's actually at the end it's very apparent, or perhaps the audience want to chime in? But at the end, even like with my grief clients, some of them said, you know what? many couples who work with me, they come for something completely different. And at the very end, they say, you know what? It's definitely not something we want to happen, losing a child, losing a beloved, or anything. And at the same time, it brings us much awareness. It brings us practically everybody says, usually a loss when you are a couple, 90% chance the couple who lost a child end up in divorce. When you do the work, everyone said, this brings us together. It strengthens us to individually and together as one. So what a great outcome sometimes that you gain from your journey.
Yeah, I think that's part of what we've been talking about this whole time, is that there's different things along your journey where you can either choose to grow or they will keep you stuck. And so that's something that you learn. And if you do the work, like Dr. Bridget was saying, that it actually can empower you. But if you don't do the work, it can end up really keeping you stuck and holding you back. One thing that I think we haven't talked about at all in this, and maybe this is a good topic for another day, is about not comparing your journey to other people's. And that's really hard, especially with the social media that we have now, that's constantly blasted in our faces. And I have one specific example of this. And when I was married, my daughter was 6 months old and we went to Mexico. And I came back and I had a friend be like, oh man, your trip looked so amazing. And like, I so wish we had gone on a trip like that when my kid was 6 months old. And I looked at her and I said, that's just what social media looks like. That was actually the most traumatic and horrible trip of my entire life. I was like abused. I was almost physically abused. I like slept with my daughter in the hotel room. I was terrified. Like all of these things happened to me. But in the pictures on social media, it looks like we're this like picture perfect couple with this adorable little baby. And like I had lost all my baby weight and I was only 6 months, like she was only 6 months old. And on social media, it looked like this beautiful journey of our baby. But the reality of it was that it was actually this horrible traumatic experience for me. And so I think sometimes social media really can be hard on people's self-esteem because it looks like all these people have it together, and really that's not the truth at all. And so looks on social media can be very deceiving. And so I think that's something that we need to think about in our own journeys, is not comparing them to other people's because you don't know the true story, but also not comparing them to what you see on social media because that's fake. 99% of it is all fake. So make sure that if you are comparing yourself to someone else, be like, do I really know what's going on in their shoes? Because it might look really great, but the reality might be completely different. And so I just think that's something that maybe would be a really amazing topic another time that we didn't quite touch on this part about the journey versus the destination, because comparing ourselves to other people's journey, I think, is something that even I now still struggle with. I'm like, I should be in a better place right now. And then it's like, no, like this is part of my journey, right? And so I think that's something, just an important piece that we didn't quite touch on. And I know we're getting close to time. So I wanted to just say to everybody who's out there, wherever you are on your journey, think about what it is that you can just do today to find some joy in this journey, because the only thing we truly have is this moment.
Yeah, that's very true, and that's great advice to not get caught up in what you see out there and comparing to other people, because you never know, right? And then just to touch on how to know when you're on the right path, and I think we've kind of discussed it in small portions here today, but for me, and just listening to some of your guys' stories, is how I know when I'm on the right path is when those synchronicities happen, when those, you meet the right person at the perfect time that like is exactly what you needed for whatever it is personally or your business, or like Dr. Bridget described, like going into that meeting with that elevated energy that she likely would not have had if she wouldn't have had that kind of struggle to get there, is like, that's when you're on the right path, is when those things just align. And like when you fly through LAX like security in under an hour and you're the last person off the shuttle, like, you know, you're on the right path when that all happens and you end up on your plane anyways. It's like, okay, I'm supposed to be here for sure. And for me, I have those examples too. And it's like I described going on this trip and the people that I met on there, and it's the feeling that I get. And it's like, so you have a little bit of a struggle. So I'll just give you one quick example for another recent one for me. And it was, got word from my manufacturer. So I'm an apparel brand. And so my local manufacturer told me that they couldn't make anything for me until the spring. And just like this, oh my God, like this terrible feeling like set in and just felt awful, had a stomach ache, like the whole, like physical sensations, the whole thing. And then literally 2 days later, I went to a market, walked in, and like the booth that I first saw when I walked into this big convention place was this manufacturer that I knew about. And in that moment, I'm like, okay, that's why I'm here. I needed to meet this new manufacturer. And if I wouldn't have got that bad news from my old one, I wouldn't have even went and talked to them. And now I'm working with them. Like since then, I've started working with them, and everything's just like happening exactly how it was supposed to. And so for me, that's how I know when I'm on the right path, is when those synchronicities happen and those chance meetings happen. That's when the good stuff happens. Absolutely. And in the smaller, like when you really get focused on the day to day, like for me yesterday, having that bad day, you can really get sucked into that day, which I think is easy to do, but the perspective is just huge, is to zoom out a little bit and realize that in tomorrow or in a couple of days from now, I'm going to feel better and I'm not going to be in this dark place anymore. And this isn't where I'm going to be forever. And just to remember that, and then to see, like zoom out a week and it's like, oh, that thing that was so terrible and like the worst thing that ever happened to me, it worked out perfect. Like, so what was the point of, almost making yourself suffer? And then I did a thing here at the end of the year where it went through quarter by quarter, kind of the highs, the lows, and the lessons. And so going through the whole year, all of my lows from last year were all stress and worry about things that were going on in my world at that time. Look at it as a whole year. Every single one of those things worked out perfectly. So this realization set in for me is like, I wasted a big chunk of my year, every low point of my year was worrying about stuff that ended up just working out perfectly. So it was a lesson for me too, to not get sucked into those individual moments and having a bit more of a zoomed out perspective. So that's been really helpful for me. How about you, Nomsa?
You're muted.
Nice. I love that, Nick. It does happen to me so many times as well. Like sometimes the problem will present itself, but then if I choose not to focus on that problem and then I move on to something else, and then I'm like, okay, that was a delay. So it would have delayed my breakthrough, and I would not have been able to get to this way if I had focused on that. It's like I have this attitude where when problems are presented, I'm like, I'm aware you problems, but I'm not going to focus on you. I'm just going to pray to God because there are some things that I cannot sort out. And also come to Amanda as well. Amanda is saying, don't compare your life with anybody else. I think that is a very, very powerful. Comparing our path to other people is very, very, very powerful. And I know there are some people out there who look at their lives and they're like, why am I living like this? This person is living a better life. How do you know they're living a better life? They are living a life because they are able to actually take action, and just if you see somebody living a life that you desire, and mostly on on social media, whatever we see on social media is not 99% is not real. And for me, if you see me taking pictures on my own, and that means it's real, because I take pictures, I take selfies, and I'm smiling. And when I take pictures with my family, that picture is the 10th one that I took. The last one is a beautiful one. Sometimes you take a picture and the other one goes that way. So I'm like, please, guys, let's take a picture. And they're like, why? Then I have to explain for your memories later and for me to put on Facebook, guys. So then I have to have an argument with them. I have to negotiate. And then in the end, we end up taking these beautiful pictures. So it end up being there. It's real. It's my family. It's real. But I'll never portray something that ain't real. If I'm not okay, I'll always tell my family, like, if I'm not okay, sometimes they'll be like, why did you post that on Facebook? I'm like, it is my feelings. It is what I'm feeling. So I don't have to fake it. I have to be real. Because if I'm real, somebody else will connect with me and they'll follow me and they'll relate to my story. If I'm posting wonderful things, mostly if you look at my pictures, I post how I'm feeling, how God has blessed me, how challenges, things are going. So, oh yeah, Amanda, before you go, would you like to say goodbye to our audience?
Yeah, I just have to go because it's morning. I got to get up for my daughter, but I just have a wonderful journey. I kind of said my bit the last time was learn to live in this moment and enjoy what you have right now. All right, bye everybody.
Bye, Amanda. Dr. Biggett, before we go, would you like to actually tell the audience who you are and say your words of encouragement so we can go and Nick as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say life is a journey, or sometimes I say life is a dance. And whether you are seeing it as a journey going to one place to the other, and you say, well, it's not a smooth, if your life is not as smooth of a journey as you would love it, then just like when you're driving somewhere, for instance, you want to get a map, or preferably a good GPS that can keep telling you where to even if there is a roadblock, a good GPS, a lifetime GPS can say, oh, okay, you got to detour here and you got to detour there, so you don't get lost and sidetrack way too long. And so if your journey is not as smooth as you would love it to be, then my word of encouragement is that it is smart. Not just it's many people say, oh, yeah, I want to be strong. But I encourage people to be smart. You and I, not just certain people, everybody, to be smart. And be smart is to learn and to allow support. And that way you actually get your destination sooner. And so, and whichever that support, if you're experiencing loss, heartbreak, I'm a grief specialist, and you can reach me here. You can reach me on my website at the bottom of my name there, Joyful Riches Beyond Grief, or even email me, dr10forgrief@gmail.com. But whatever your journey, then wherever it is you are in your journey, you are in the right place. And if it's not going smooth, I would encourage you to be smart and allow yourself to receive help.
Yeah, that's great advice for sure. So I was a police officer for, over 17 years, and in enforcement world for over 20. And so I saw some dark things and went through some dark times and ended up with PTSD and the whole thing. And it's now for me to look back with a zoomed out perspective, is to realize, like, although that darkness and everything I went through was totally necessary for me on my journey. I needed to see, experience, and live the dark in order for me to be where I'm at right now, and being quite the opposite on the light side. And not to say that I still don't have moments of darkness and struggles and whatnot. But everything that we go through in our lives is like Dr. Burgess said, it's teaching us a lesson, and it's making us, course correcting us onto the path that we're supposed to be on. And for me, to know that I'm on the right path is a feeling, and that's just, it feels good in my heart, whatever that decision is to get me onto that path. And so all I can say is just get out of your own way and go for it. So I, like I said, was a police officer. I resigned from that job in April of 2022, and I'm going all in on an apparel brand that I've started here based in Canada called Flow State Designs. And my website is at the bottom of below my video here, and you can find me on all the social media as well. And yeah, I do have some product available right now. I'm currently working on a larger production run, which will be ready sometime in March. So yeah, that's it for me. Thank you very much.
Kate is asking if your products are available international or just Canada.
Yes, yeah, through my website. I've never had an international order, so that's a good question. I know I ship to the States. I don't know about international. I will have to check into that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for those who are watching. And if you want to connect with us, please get in touch with us through my website. And we've been talking about delay. I think Nkosi Talk Show's website has been delayed they forgot about us. I sent an email yesterday, and they're emailing me like, oh, sorry. They forgot about our website. So you can go to hseia.com and send an email or ring the office. We'll connect you to any coach that you feel you want to work with. And we are here Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. UK time. And please find your own voice and lead from within. You can find your own voice by getting in touch with Dr. Biggett. She's a grieving coach, and Nick is someone that had the courage to actually step out on something that he has known all his life, and starting new things, and which is a scary thing. So if you want coaching in that part where you are really, really scared, you want to make a decision, but you are scared of the unknown, here's the right person to connect with. And for me, if you are looking for love, a serious relationship, get in touch as well through my website, Matchmaking Introduction Agency. And live with grace, everyone, and God bless.